Hello everyone. Thanks once again for joining our Archicad Now webinar series 2 on the topic stair, railing and curtain wall in Archicad. So in this webinar series, we are currently on the fourth session. We saw how to create stairs. We saw how to customize those stairs depending on the design requirements. And we also saw how to do railings in Archicad and also saw how to do the documentation, how to customize those documentation and then the railing itself. And in today's session, which is on the session 4, we're going to see the curtain wall. And the agenda of this session would be to cover the basics of curtain wall. But before that, last week we had few questions on railings. So we are going to see those, and then we will continue with the curtain wall topic. In the curtain wall, we will see the settings of the curtain wall. We'll see the grid patterns, how to adjust the grid patterns in curtain wall, and we will also see how to do the frames and panels in curtain wall, how to have a custom panel, how to have custom frames or frames that are coming from profiles, and how to adjust those profiles, and all that we'll be seeing today. And then corner frames and boundary frames as well. So we'll see how to customize the corner frames and boundary frames together. All right, so let's get started. So in the previous session, there was a question on how to create railing for the inner side of the stair without any dents or without any bend or whatever. Okay, so here if you see, we have created a stair railing without any bend. This is basically achieved by having or different height for the segments here. So let me show the previous one, the default one. You can see here, this is the default railing which has a bend. So in order to achieve something like this, from this, you need to go to the edit mode, and then if you see the segments, you need to match the segment between these two. So if I click here, this is 1000, which is 1 meter, and this one you can see this is 1090. So we are trying to match between the both. Okay, so let me just go to the rail settings. If you go inside the rail settings, so you can see here we have top rails, we have handrail, and then we have inner rails and so on. So all this need to be adjusted on both the segments so that they both meet together at right position in the junction here. Okay, so that's the idea behind that. So you need to have the heights of all these rails adjusted in such a way that they meet with the rail from the following segment. Okay, so if we go to the exit mode, you can see here how nicely they are just connected together at the junction here. Okay, so without any bend or whatever. Okay, so you need to have this connection, which is the direct connection. So you need to always have the direct connection. Okay, to have a smooth turn, something like this. All right, so let me go back to the slides. So let's continue with the curtain walls. So here are some of the basics of the curtain walls, just to let us stay on the same page. So inside the curtain wall, we have vertical grids and then the horizontal grids. Okay, so on the grids, we will have frame elements. So if the frame is horizontal, it is called transom frame. And if the frame is vertical, it is called mullion frame. And to cover the frames, we have panels here. Okay, so we have panels, and apart from that, we also have boundary frames. Okay, so you can see here on the boundaries on the sides and on the bottom, we have boundary frames. And apart from the ones that are shown here, we also have corner frames. So that is not shown here. So whenever there is a turn in the curtain wall, we will have corner frames. Okay, and you can see here the building structural elements are shown here, which is the slabs, just to show the picture how the curtain walls are placed with respect to the other components of the building. They have shown the building structural elements here. All right, having seen this, let us go to the Archicad itself to see how to create curtain walls, how to customize all that, and we'll see now. Okay, so you can see here is a basic curtain wall, which is a default scheme that is available on Archicad. So whenever you place a curtain wall, you'll have this particular scheme by default. Okay, so if I go to the settings inside here, so you can see the settings. So the curtain wall system, so we have the geometry and then the positioning. So you can just customize the floor plan, the geometry and positioning, just like any other tool inside Archicad. So the specific ones here are whenever you want to create a slanted curtain wall, you can adjust the slant angle here. And then if you want to increase or if you want to move the reference line vertically, you can just use this option. And then here is the option to define the reference line from the plane center, or you can choose the options from here. Okay, and if you want to flip the curtain wall, you can use this with respect to the reference line. Okay, and then here is the nominal thickness, and here are the floor plan and section display. You can just use these options to customize the floor plan and sections. And then under the member placement, we have grid points. We have the junctions that are need to be placed on all grid points, or you can just place them one by one manually. Okay, and if you see here, place boundary frames inside the boundary or center of boundary or outside boundary. You can choose between these three options. And then the relation to the zone, you can just use this curtain wall as a zone boundary. You can use reduce zone area only, or subtract from zones, or no effect on zones. So you can choose the option between these depending on the requirement. So if you go to the scheme here, so here is where we have columns and rows, where we can just define the number of rows and column of grids inside the curtain wall. Okay, so if you see here, there are 3 rows and 2 columns, and below that we have pattern origin. We can just click on each of these panels and then change the type. So you can see here currently we have distinct panel and we have main panel, and we also have Booleans here. You can see here, this the vertical one is called the Boolean frame. You can choose the Boolean frame or boundary frame or corner frame. You can define between these frames. And then if I select the transom frame, you can see currently it is using the transom frame. So you can use any frame type here, and then you can assign to that particular frame or the panel. Okay, so later we'll see how to customize all that in the session. Okay, so here under the frames, we have corner frame, boundary frame, Boolean frame, and transom frame. You'll not be able to change the name of the corner frame or boundary frame, but you can change the type here. So you can see from these options here, you can choose whatever type you want, or if you don't want to have anything, you can just make it invisible also. Okay, similarly for the boundary frame, you can just change the type, but you won't be able to change the name by changing the type. So if you say, for example, if you choose boundary frame as profile frame, you can choose the profile from here. Okay, so you can choose the profile from here, sorry. So under the curtain wall frame settings, you can choose the frame type and then the cap type, and then you can customize the settings of cutting planes and so on. Okay, and one thing, if you note here, we have this frame intersection priority. So if you choose between different frame types, you can define that particular frame's intersection priority. So the frame with higher priority will proceed over the frame with lower priority. So this way, whenever there is an clash or intersection between two frames, you can decide which frame to have higher priority compared to the other one. Okay, so this way you can just set the priority here. So coming to the Boolean frame and transom frame, these are some customizable frame names. So you can see here, I can change the name. Just double click here, you'll be able to change the name. So it need not be Boolean frame or transom frame. It can be frame 1 or frame 2 or whatever. So it depends on the type that you want to have. And then under the type, you can choose from the options that are available here, just similar to the corner frame and boundary frame. We will have options to choose between the different frame types, and if you, depending on the frame type that you choose, you can just change the settings under this and customize and achieve whatever you want. Okay, so let's just click here, and then let's go to the transom frame. Similarly, you can change this as well. Okay, All right. So if you go to the panels, so currently there are distinct panels and main panel. So these are default ones. If you want to change their names, you can just change them, and then you can choose the type as well for the corresponding frame panels. Okay, so if you see here, we have custom panel, we have door panel. So if you want to use door, we also have sliding doors, we have double doors, we have double door asymmetric, we have windows as well, and then you can see here profile windows. So these are some of the options that are available inside Archicad. So you can make use of all this if required. Okay, so the next is the junctions. So if in case you want to place the junctions manually, you can just use these options to place the junctions. Currently there is only one type, and there are accessories as well. We have sunshade, we have design cap, we have anchor, and so on. So you can just use them if in case you want to place them in your curtain wall. All right, so let me just click cancel here. So having seen the curtain wall settings, let us go and see the grid pattern and then see how to customize the columns. Okay, so currently I'm going to just place one of the curtain walls. Okay, all right. So when I go to the settings here, under the scheme, we have columns. So under the columns, we have 900 width column A, and then the 300 column with B. Okay, so this is B and this is A. Okay, so if you see here, at the end we have partial pattern. All right, okay, so you can just use this option and then create the curtain wall. Okay, so whenever there is a partial element there or partial segment there, it will just place the partial segment. Okay, so let's just try to place the second one. I'm just using the same settings. Okay, so after placing this, if I go to the settings, so we have under columns, we have three different options. The first one is fixed sizes, the second one is best division. So you can choose here, we can have the best division. When you choose the best division, you can see there is a lock symbol coming up. So when I choose fixed sizes, there is no lock, but when I choose best division, we have lock symbols coming up here. So you can just make one of the columns width as fixed and the other one as variable. So based on the best division, this particular column A will have a differential width. Okay, okay, so let's just click OK here. So you can see here A is extended a bit and then it has achieved a best width. Okay, the width of B is always constant. Okay, all right, so let's just create one more and then use the next option here. All right, so let's just change this to number of divisions. So let's change this to number of divisions and then make the divisions as 6. Okay, so when I choose the number of divisions, you can see the lock symbol here as well. Okay, so you can just have the same type of features, like you can lock one of the widths, or you can unlock both together. So both will be adjusted. Okay, so if not, you can just adjust one particular width and then make it unlocked. Okay, so just click OK. So you can see here, based on the number of divisions that I give, it is creating the segment here. Say if in case I change this to 5, okay, so you'll be able to see the 5 divisions. The width of B is not adjusted, width of A only is adjusted because I left the lock symbol unlocked for A. Okay, so this is how you can adjust or with how to customize the columns in the grid pattern. So let's see how to customize the rows now. So for seeing that, let's see this example, which is a slanted curtain wall, So if you go to the settings here, so you can see this is the pattern that we have created for this particular curtain wall. and then under the settings in the curtain wall system, you can see the slant angle is 75 degree. Okay, so in order to adjust the scheme, so here we have rows. So let's come to this a little later, but if you see here, there is the junction between these two slanted curtain walls, and then I wanted to create the intersection. So for that, what I can do is I can just click edit, and then I can right click on the scheme grid, and then I wanted to see only the scheme grid. Okay, so if I click on the black line here, so it turns blue. So when it turns blue, I can start edit it. I can start to edit it. So I'm just moving this to this particular point, and then I'm just editing the scheme here. Okay, so I'm just trying to move the node. All right, so here you can see I just adjusted the nodes of my curtain wall, and then I created the junction between these two. Okay, so I created the junction between these two, but if you see here, the pattern are not matching with these two. So the patterns are not matching. So for that, what I can do, just select the curtain walls. Okay, so you can see here I've achieved the same result here. So I've created the junction quite nicely here. So let's just select these two and then go to the settings, and then I wanted to make this the number of divisions. I need to choose the number of division as 3, and then you can see here I'm having the third row unlocked. So the first and the second row I've locked, so I've had the third row unlocked. Let's just click OK here. So now you can see they are quite nicely connecting at the junctions here. Okay, so this way, if at all you're using any slanted curtain walls, you can just use this number of divisions, and then you can just make them meet the junctions at right points. Okay, all right, let's go to the frames and panels section. Let's see how to create frames, how to create panels and all that. Okay, all right, so if I select the curtain wall here, which is currently having nothing but just have some grids here, so let's just go to the settings dialog here, and then if you see here I have few main panels with some divisions in between. Okay, so there are some divisions in between with some main panels here which are glass. All right, so here is the column, dimensions, and then the row dimensions we have. So now I'm going to create a hexagonal panel here. So I'm going to create a hexagonal panel. So for that, I'm choosing this particular panel. And then if you see here, I have add crossing frame option when I select the panel. So I can just create a crossing frame. Okay. So in order to create a hexagonal pattern, I'm just choosing these four, and then I'm creating the panel. So now I'm able to select these panels individually because I've split them into two by creating a cross panel in between. Okay, so cross frame is there in between. Okay, so now I need to select the divisions here. Okay, so I need to select the division. So when I select one particular division, I can use this option to select all vertically. Okay, so you can see here it selects both, and then I can just click merge panels. So when I click merge, so these two got merged. So now I need to do the same with this one. Okay, I need to merge the panels. So the top and bottom are merged together. So now, sorry, the top and bottom are merged individually together. But now I need to merge the division between these. Sorry, I need to be careful while selecting the division. All right. Yeah. So I've selected the divisions and then I have merged together. So this is one particular frame. So now I need to use this particular frame division. All right, so I can use this as a transom frame or Boolean frame. It's up to you. So you can use anything. So here I'm using this as a transom frame, and then I want to place one at the top as well. Okay, so I want to paste this as a transom frame. Okay, so now I can select these, but these are individual panels now. Now again, I need to merge all of these. So let's select all vertically and then click merge panels. Okay, so let's select all vertically and then use merge panel. So now these are merged together. Now I need to merge this with the side one. Okay, again merge panels. Okay, so now if I select one, all of them selects together. Okay, so again if I select the inner one, everything is together as a main panel, one single main panel. Okay, now if you want to customize the frames, so if you want to customize, so I think we are using all as transom frames if I'm not wrong, right? Okay, so for the transom frame, we can choose any profile frame if in case we want, and then we can just use the profiles here. So currently you can see here frame 8160 and then the curtain wall cap 8020 are used here. So let's just click OK. Okay, so if you zoom in, you can see here the panels along with the frames. Okay, so now how we saw how to create the panels and then the frames in the scheme here. So inside the scheme here, we can just select them and then use the options here. Based on the selection, the option will be changed here, and then you can make use of it to create a scheme that is more suitable to your design requirements. Okay, all right, so now if I zoom into this particular portion, so you can see here the frame here, which is the transom frame. Let's just select this and then go to the settings here. And then if I go to the frames, you can see we are using this particular frame. So if in case I wanted to change to anything, say for example, modular frame, and then if I want to choose an option called like I type, and in the cap, I wanted to choose type 3. Okay. And if I click OK, so you can see immediately the frame type changes. So now you have a cap type, and then inside we have I. Okay. So this is how you can customize the frames. And then if you want to customize the panels, so let's just go to the panels here, and then currently we have built-in panel. Say for example, if you want to have see here we have curtain wall louvered panel. So let's just use this to distinct panel as a curtain wall louvered panel. Okay, and then just apply this to this particular main frame as distinct panel, and then click OK. So now you can see the inner ones became louvered panels. Okay, so here are the louvers. All right, so this is how you can customize the frames and then panels, and then how to create those schemes and frames so frames and panels inside the schemes. Okay, so now let's go to the pattern origin. So let's see how to use the pattern origin option inside the curtain wall settings. So select this. Okay, and then go to the settings, and if I go inside the settings, you can see here we have partial patterns. So whenever the width of the curtain wall, the entire width of the curtain wall is not matching with the column width or the row width, you will have partial patterns on those locations. You can choose to have deleted panels or distinct panels or main panels. Okay, so say for example, if in case I want to have distinct panel, right? So if in case I want to have distinct panel at the at the locations where they are, very little. So let's just click OK. So you can see here we have distinct panels. So these are all main panels. So we have distinct panels at locations wherever we have partial portions. Okay, so let's go to the settings again. Okay, so you can use this option to have the partial portions inside the curtain wall. And if you want to set the origin for your curtain wall pattern, you can choose the options from here. So you can see here, start with pattern at the bottom lower end, or from the right, you can choose here. So you can choose to have align to center on both, and then see, let's see what happens. Just click OK. So you can see here the origin is aligned to the center. Okay, so that we have partial patterns on all four sides. Okay, and if in case you want to have any offset for the horizontal or the vertical pattern, you can just use the option here. Say for example, if I want to offset this to like 500 mm, or and then I wanted to offset this to minus 250. Okay, and then click OK. So you can see here it moves 500 to the right, and then 250 mm to the bottom. Okay, so this is how we can use this pattern origin and then the partial option here to use the partial patterns. Okay, all right, now let us see the corner or the boundary frames. So first is the corner frame. So here, whenever there is a bend between the curtain walls, we will have a corner frame. So if you go to the settings of this curtain wall, you can see here under the frames, we have corner frames. So now let's see the corner frame. Currently, we are using this diagonal frame 25, or we can choose modular frame as well. So let's use the modular frame, and then under the curtain wall settings frame, you can choose the options that are available. So if you want to use T type, and then here if you want to use this one, or the cap type, this one, you can make use of it. And you can see here the curtain wall corner frame is created something like this. Okay, or if you want to have some other option, say for example, if you want to use something like this diagonal frame with cap. Okay, so you can choose the options here. I can have I, and then I can have this options here as the cap type, and then click OK. So you can see here the corner frame is created according to the settings that we have given. Okay, okay, or I can choose to have this particular type, which is regular double frame with cap. Okay, so here also we have multiple options to choose. So let's just click OK with one of the options, and we have this particular type of curtain wall boundary frame. Okay, so now let's see, sorry, this is the corner frame. Now let's see the boundary frame. So for defining the boundary frame, we can see the floor plans. And then if you see here, this is the boundary. And then if I go to the other side, this would be the boundary. Okay, so if you want to customize this, you can just go back to the same settings, and under the boundary frame, currently we are having the modular frame 25. Okay, so if in case you want to change the options here, you can choose the one that you want and then click OK. You'll immediately be able to see the changes on the floor plan. Okay, so it will be reflected on the 3D as well. So if you see here, if you want to use a profiled frame, so you can see here, these are the options that are available with the profile frame that we have chosen. So you can see it immediately changes as well. Okay, so this is how you can just customize the boundary and then the corner frames based on the options that we have inside the settings here. Okay, So these are the profiles that are coming from the profile manager. You can see here there are multiple profiles here. You can create your own profile, and then you can just use it inside the settings here to create the curtain walls that you require. Okay, so let's just see a few options before we end the session today. So here, when you create a wall, right, so when you have a wall, so let's just create this particular wall, and then if in case I want to replace this with a curtain wall, right, so let's just use the same curtain wall settings and then just draw this curtain wall here. Sorry, let me just draw it again. Okay, so I'm going to flip it, and then if in case you want to just select the walls and then the curtain walls, and then if you go to the design, modify curtain wall, join walls to curtain wall option. So if I join this, you can see here curtain wall thickness, join at curtain wall thickness, or you can choose to have an custom offset. Okay, I'm just joining at the curtain wall thickness and then click join. So now if in case you move this curtain wall, right, so if in case you're moving this curtain wall, the wall will get extended along with the curtain wall. So now it behaves like it is connected with the wall itself. So even if you bend the curtain wall like this, right, you can see here the wall gets edited accordingly. Okay, so this is how you can just connect your wall with the curtain wall, and then you can just move the curtain wall or just edit the curtain wall so that the wall gets automatically edited along with it. Okay, so let me just go back to this grid pattern and rows option one more time. And then if I want to create the common frame between the curtain walls here. So currently if you see here, there are no frame in between. So if in case I want to create a common frame in between these two, what I can do. So I'm just using the same curtain wall settings, and I'm going to create a curtain wall. And then let me just create one more curtain wall which is intersecting with this particular curtain wall. Okay, so I'm just randomly creating the curtain wall, and then they are intersecting. So there was one option that I showed earlier is to just adjust the curtain wall scheme. Okay, so scheme grid, and then you can just achieve the connection between these two. There's one more option in with which you can just create the common frame in between these two curtain walls. So select these two curtain walls, go to the design, modify curtain wall, and then create common frames. Okay, so when you create common frames, you can see here you can have method or parallel frames. So let's just use method frame here, and then let's click create. So you can see there is a frame created now. So you can see here there is a frame that is just now created. Okay, so now I need to edit the extra portions of the curtain walls that are protruding outside. Okay, so for that, select the individual curtain wall, go to edit, and then you need to select them individually like this. So I'm using the window selection tool. Okay, and then click delete. Okay, so you will be able to delete the individual portions. So it will be actually split into two, so it is easy for you to delete actually. Okay, so this is how you can just delete the individual portions that are protruding outside the connected curtain walls. Okay, you need to select everything, and then you need to edit delete them. Okay, now if I exit, you can see here the protrusion is cleaned properly, and then it is just having a common frame which is nice enough to create the common frame like this. Okay, so let's just go to this particular curtain wall and then use the same window selection and then click delete. Okay, so let me just delete this one, these two, so that it looks nice. All right, so here you can see the connection between these two curtain walls are created by a common frame, and then it just looks like it is, created together. Okay, so but if you select this, this is an individual one, and if you select that, this is an individual curtain wall. Okay, but still there is a common frame created. Okay, all right. So with this, we have come to the end of this session. So if you want to learn more about the curtain wall, please scan the QR code and then it will take you guys to the Learn Portal, Graphisoft Learn Portal, where you will have a curtain wall in Archicad, self-paced course, which you can take up to learn more about the curtain walls. Do follow us on social media, for social medias like Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn for more information about Archicad and Graphisoft solutions, and follow us on social media as well. Please subscribe so that we will post all the tips and tricks videos, and then the webinar recordings and the previous event recordings. Everything is posted in social media, so that you can watch it and learn from it. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today. So if you have any questions, please feel free to write back to us.